protect Canadians in their rightful law to protest and demonstrate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The time for questions and comments has expired, as has the time for government orders. Déclaration de député, statements by members. The honourable member for Mississauga-Streetsville.
Mr. Speaker, last night I helped ring in the Lunar New Year, the Year of the Sheep, at Fo Guan Shan Temple, located in my riding of Mississauga-Streetsville. The objectives of Fo Guan Shan Temple are to promote the principles of humanistic Buddhism and to foster peace and harmony among all the peoples of the world. Venerable Master Xing Yun, the founder of Fo Guan Shan, has guided this effort by providing educational opportunities, sponsoring cultural events, engaging in community service, and by extensively writing and teaching about the Buddhist path of wisdom and compassion. This beautiful temple located on Mill Creek Drive is a wonderful asset to our community, and the work of the Buddha's Light International members is both locally and world-renowned. The Year of the Sheep symbolizes peace and generosity and reminds us to be well-grounded and kind to others. May I wish everyone a happy new year. Kong Hei Fat Choi, Gong Shi Cha Fa, Chuk Mong No Nom, Si Bok Mani Bak Aseo.
The honourable member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Mr. Speaker, it's a pleasure to stand on behalf of New Democrats to commemorate the Lunar New Year. This year, Lunar New Year falls on February 19th, today, and all across our country, Canadians will be welcoming the Year of the Goat. People born in goat years are calm, friendly, and possess a strong sense of kind-heartedness and justice. They exhibit creativity and perseverance. Although they look gentle on the surface, they are tough on the inside. They have excellent defensive instincts and are resilient. Mr. Speaker, I think they would make excellent politicians. Canadians of Chinese, Korean, and Vietnamese origin especially will be celebrating across our nation. Families will gather in their homes, friends will meet at banquets, performers will entertain at spring festivals, and thousands will march in parades to mark this wonderful occasion. And Canadians of all backgrounds will join in the festivities as we share in this expression of cross-cultural magic. So on behalf of all New Democrats, Xin Yen Kwai Le, Yang Yen Kwai Le, Gang Hei Fat Choi, Chuk Mong Nam Moi.
The honourable member for Palliser.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the best in women's Canadian curlings are drawing to the button in the Friendly City over the 9 days ending this Sunday for the 2015 Scotty Tournament of Hearts. The opening ceremony at Mosaic Place began with the flyover from the now famous Snowbirds. The good times continued with live entertainment at the Heart Stop Lounge and non-stop sweeping at the Moose Jaw Ford Curling Center. I would like to extend appreciation to the many local organizations, over 400 volunteers and dozens of sponsors for their effort in showing curlers and fans the best that Moose Jaw has to offer. Hundreds of thousands of Canadians enjoy this roaring game for its fierce competition and team approach. It is truly one of Canada's greatest games. The cry of skips will be heard throughout the community, Mr. Speaker. Hurry hard! Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Beauséjour.
Mr. Speaker, on Sunday, the village of Memramcook will honour 4 great individuals for their contribution to professional and amateur sport by adding their names to the Wall of Honour. Mr. Cormier was the president of minor baseball and hockey and long offered a skating rink to people of Memramcook outside of his home. Georges Godet made numerous contributions, whether it be in the area of golf or by helping to inaugurate the Wall of Honour. Romeo Leblanc, who reffed hockey up to the American League level, unfortunately passed away 2 days ago. I would like to offer my sincerest sympathies to his family, and I'm very proud and happy that we are celebrating his accomplishments. And finally, Eugene Godet, who had, in addition to playing as a hockey player, he was head therapist for the National League and for the Montreal Canadiens. These 4 great sportsmen show how great Memramcook is, and I would like to commend them very warmly.
For Oak Ridge's Markham.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to draw to the attention of the House to an incredible constituent of mine, Nadine Carter. Nadine is a 6th grade student in Stouffville who through diligent and extensive research has called upon the town to properly recognize World War I flying ace Captain Roy Brown.
Here, here.
Brown was born in Carleton Place, but after the war he moved his home to Whitchurch, Stouffville. In Brown's exemplary period of service, he never once lost a pilot under his command, and he was credited with the shooting down of Manfred von Richthofen, otherwise known as the Red Baron. Since that time, his memory has sadly gone unrecognized in my hometown, where he lived out his life. Now, thanks to Nadine, I am working with the town to ensure that this oversight is corrected. Members of this place, of course, know the importance of remembering our heritage and especially remembering those who risked their lives for our freedom. I ask all members to join with me in thanking Nadine for her exemplary research and service to our community. Thank you.
The honourable member for Edmonton Strathcona.
Tomorrow, February 20th, Ukraine will mark the anniversary of Black Thursday, the bloodiest and darkest day in Maidan history. For the first time since independence, more than 100 people were shot or beaten to death during peacetime. Ukrainians were hopeful that in electing a new president and parliament, they'd finally achieve closure of a Soviet presence. Sadly, the war in their eastern borders, fronted by Russian arms, has wrought strife and a rising death toll of both soldiers and civilians. Yet in the midst of this strife, I feel it important to recognize many in Ukrainian civil society, including young Ukrainians, have stepped away from their careers determined to forge better governance. I'm in communication with one young Ukrainian, Maria Korolenko, inspired by her participation in the Maidan and then an internship in Canada's Parliament. Now back in Ukraine, she's engaged in strengthening regional governance, building a strategy for energy independence, and assisting refugees from eastern Ukraine. Increased foreign aid and sanctions against Russia are critical, but let's also respond more generously to the calls for our support to Ukraine's civil society in their struggle for strengthened democratic governance.
The honourable member for Mississauga-Erindale.
Mr. Speaker, the people of Mississauga know James Murray is a hard-working local businessman, volunteer, and community leader, and I was proud to hear that he was among 26 people to have recently received the honour of the Order of Ontario. The Order of Ontario is the province's highest honour and recognizes individuals who have demonstrated excellence and achievement in any field benefiting the people of Ontario. Jim has combined a successful business career in the Mississauga and Greater Toronto area in the field of commercial real estate while balancing multiple volunteer roles. Over the past 6 decades, countless organizations have benefited from his devotion to community service. They include Credit Valley Hospital, Sheridan College, the Living Arts Centre, Peel Regional Police Services Board, the inaugural board of the Peel Children's Aid Foundation, Mississauga Sports Council, the Mayor's Gala, and the Hazel McCallion Foundation for the Arts, to name just a few. Congratulations, Jim, and thank you for your invaluable contribution to life in Mississauga.
Member for Thornhill. Mr. Speaker, in this week in which we've celebrated the 50th anniversary of our glorious Canadian flag, I rise today to recognize a constituent affectionately known as the Flag Lady of Thornhill. Marga Vanden Hogan is the founder of Flag Flyers, dedicated citizens who spread awareness of the maple leaf flag. Omnipresent, it sometimes seems, in various flamboyant dress combinations of red and white, Marga is known to solicit residential and commercial owners of unadorned flagpoles to acquire and to proudly fly the flag and to recommend replacement of flags that are faded or frayed. Raising the maple leaf to new heights this week, Marga's persuasive skills led to the electronic red and white wrapping and flapping on Toronto's CN Tower. Mr. Speaker, as you know, our government, in celebration of the flag's 50th anniversary, is giving commemorative gifts of this proud Canadian symbol to 50 outstanding Canadians. It will be an honour to present one of those mementos to Marga tomorrow in Thornhill.
Not having an update.
The honourable member for Hull-Aylmer. Mr. Speaker, last week I met with the administration of the Outaouais Transit Corporation. I can tell you that they have ambitious projects to continue to ensure accessibility and the quality of our public transit. I myself live in the western part of the city, and I know how important the extension of Rapibus routes westward is to the citizens of Hull-Aylmer. I'm thinking of families who live in the Aylmer sector. It is not easy to achieve work-life balance when you spend over an hour a day in traffic. This has to change. We in the NDP believe that municipalities should be able to count on the support of the federal government to meet this challenge. It is time to put in place a national public transit strategy, which would ensure that the federal government does its fair share. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Mississauga East Cooksville.
Mr. Speaker, last night at midnight, thousands of Canadians across the country, including our Prime Minister, gathered together to ring in the Lunar New Year. Over the next 2 weeks, Canadians of Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, and other backgrounds are marking the arrival of the Year of the Sheep, known to some as the Year of the Goat. They will celebrate the renewal and optimism that comes with a new year, along with family, friends, and local communities. The Lunar New Year brings with it wonderful expressions of tradition and culture, such as the distribution of lucky pockets. It gives families the opportunity to honor their ancestors and pass along beautiful traditions and customs to a new generation. The Lunar New Year is also a fantastic opportunity for all Canadians to share in the richness of Asian culture. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Conservative Caucus, I wish all Canadians celebrating the Lunar New Year good luck, prosperity, and success. Gong hai fai chou, gong shi fai chow, chuk mong nao moi. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Notre-Dame-de-Grâce-la-Chine. Mr. Speaker, I am very happy to rise today in this House to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Council 1776 of the Knights of Columbus of Lachine. 100 years of unity, charity, fraternity, and patriotism, 100 years of service to the Lachine community, and 100 years of volunteer work to serve families and to help the people who need it. Brother Knights, I thank you for your dedication, your involvement, and your movement. I would like to underscore all the work done by all these organizations, but there are too many of them. But I'd like to underscore the exceptional work of Grand Knight Pierre Parr and his wife. I'd like to thank Michel Dubois for organizing the festivities, and I would like to commend all the Knights of Council 1776 of Lachine. I am proud to share this moment with you. Thank you.
Member for Dauphin, Swan River, Marquette.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians support the tax relief our government has brought forward to date and will continue to deliver going forward. And the Liberal carbon tax is simply not the way to deal with economic issues in our country. Canadians do not want to be on a path to higher taxes and more debt.
That's for sure.
Creating a job-killing carbon tax would be reckless and will increase the cost of everything and the tax burden on middle-class families, and would especially hurt low-income families and rural people, the kind I represent. The Liberal leader first ran for office on the promise of a carbon tax in 2008. This is who he is. Canadians know that the Liberals want to bring in this job-killing carbon tax. This is their goal. Mr. Speaker, our Conservative government is lowering taxes for families and putting more money back into their pockets. Keeping taxes low and creating jobs are essential to keeping this economy on the right track. We will never punish Canadians with a job-killing carbon tax.
The Honourable Member for Vancouver, Quadra.
Mr. Speaker, today marks the start of the Chinese New Year, when Chinese and Asian communities around the world will celebrate the Year of the Sheep. Yesterday, I joined colleagues and the Chinese ambassador at a gala dinner here in Ottawa. And throughout the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, our Liberal Party leaders participating in celebratory events with the community. I'm personally honored to host an MP Lunar New Year reception in Vancouver this weekend, and Vancouver's Great Parade in Chinatown this Sunday is legendary. So across our country, Canadians of all ages and cultures will come together to celebrate. And we will reflect on the important role that the Chinese and Asian communities have played in shaping our great nation. On behalf of the Liberal Party of Canada and our entire parliamentary caucus, I extend our warmest good wishes to all Canadians ringing in the Lunar New Year, good health, happiness, and prosperity for all. Gong hei fat choi, xin yan kuai le.
The Honourable Member for Pickering, Scarborough East.
Mr. Speaker, our family tax cut and enhanced universal childcare benefit will help 100% of families with children, and the vast majority of benefits go to low and middle income families. With the enhancement of the universal childcare benefit, moms and dads in Pickering, Scarborough East and across this country will receive nearly $2,000 per year for every child under 6 and $720 per year for every child between the ages of 6 and 17. The NDP and the Liberals will take these benefits away while imposing more taxes on Canadian families. Instead of giving decision-making power to parents, the NDP and Liberals want Ottawa bureaucracy telling families what to do. That's not right, Mr. Speaker. Our government knows that parents know what's best for their kids, and we are proud to be the only party standing up for them.
The Honourable Member for Hochelaga. Everywhere the member for Nepean Carleton goes, he wreaks havoc. As Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister, he got his government into trouble on several occasions with his impulsive and misplaced comments. As Minister for Democratic Reform, he introduced a regressive and unfair law expressly designed to reduce voter turnout. And now that he's Minister of Employment and Social Development, we fear the worst. The Social Security Tribunal is completely backlogged. Thousands of people have to wait up to 5 years to have their file reviewed, and people who are gravely ill or experiencing financial hardship are having their expedited appeals refused. This is a shame, Mr. Speaker. It's as if the Conservatives are waiting for people to give up or die in order to reduce wait times. By appointing the member for Nepean Carleton head of such a dysfunctional department, the Prime Minister is proving that he has no intention of changing things. Decidedly, Canadians deserve better than this heartless government.
The Honourable Member for Saskatoon.
Mr. Speaker, mothers and fathers should be able to make the important decisions that affect their own children. That's why our family tax cut and enhanced universal child care benefit will give 100% of families with kids across Canada more money to do just that.
Fantastic.
Our government trusts parents to make the best decisions for their children. But both the Liberals and the NDP are against putting money back into the pockets of hard-working families. They will take these benefits away so that big government bureaucracy can tell Canadian families what they should do with their own money. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we will not hike taxes like the Liberals and the NDP propose. Rather, we are proud to let parents make their own decisions with their family's finances.
Hear, hear.
That's where the responsibility belongs.
Hear, hear. Oral questions. Questions orales. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, today the U.S. is holding a global summit on countering violent extremism. They are focused on empowering local communities. As President Obama stated, the best way to protect young people from falling into the grip of violent extremists is the support of their family, friends, teachers, and faith leaders. Here in Canada, instead of working with faith leaders to find solutions, the Prime Minister singles out Canada's Muslim community. So why does the Prime Minister's so-called security bill do nothing to prevent or reverse radicalization?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that is patently false. In fact, many departments of government, including the Justice Department, have cross-cultural roundtables. Our security forces themselves are very often involved in outreach, and they will continue to do so. But with respect to the substance of the bill before the House, C-51, this bill is very much giving tools to our security forces to allow them to do more to prevent terrorism, to prevent violence, Mr. Speaker. That is something that all communities in Canada are interested in and engaged in the discussion.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
And that's what the American Forum is also about, but they understand that you have to include efforts for anti-radicalization, and there is not one word in their bill on anti-radicalization. But the bill would give CSIS the power to, quote, disrupt security threats. Right now, CSIS collects intelligence and the RCMP disrupts threats by arresting those who are conspiring to commit a crime. So precisely what new powers would CSIS now be given to disrupt threats under this bill? What does that mean? Can the Minister give us a single example?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, that is in fact one of the most important elements of this bill, enabling CSIS to do just that, to disrupt and in some cases to take down material that could be used for radicalization. The honourable member, again, is incorrect in his assessment of this bill. This is a comprehensive bill, Mr. Speaker. This is a bill that involves oversight for those new powers. And, Mr. Speaker, this is a bill that Canadians are responding very positively, unlike the position staked out by the NDP.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Same thing as yesterday. They can't give one single example.
Once again, the government is trying to mix up threats to security with terrorist activities. According to internal documents, the RCMP calls groups who are opposed to major polluters, for example, environmental groups and First Nations, as threats to security. And so, with the Prime Minister's proposed legislation, will CSIS have the authorization to investigate these groups? Environmental groups, First Nations, are they in your sights as well?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition to address his questions through the Chair, not directly at other members. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, Mr. Speaker, once again, the Leader of the Opposition is trying to scare Canadians into thinking that they will be targeted, and that is absolutely not the intent of this bill. In fact, Mr. Speaker, you only have to read the bill to see that they are not going to be targeted. It states specifically that any activity undermining Canada's security does not include lawful advocacy, protest, dissent, or artistic expression, Mr. Speaker. So the type of activity the honourable member is describing is not going to be targeted by CSIS or the RCMP.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
CMP has already written, it is clear that CSIS will be allowed to investigate environmental groups and First Nations. That's the truth, Mr. Speaker. Conservatives have totally failed on their promise to streamline the appeals process for Canada Pension Plan and employment insurance. The backlog for income security appeals was up 24% last year. Worse yet, dozens of sick, dying and financially desperate Canadians were denied their request for expedited hearings. These are middle-class families and Canadian seniors struggling just to get by during the most difficult times of their lives. Why has the Conservative government made them wait any longer than they've had to get a fair hearing?
The Honourable Minister of Employment and Social Development.
Speaker, I thank the Honourable Member for a very good question. We agree that the backlog is unacceptable, and that is why my predecessor put in place a practical plan to eliminate that backlog by this summer. We're using experts within the department to review all of the cases that are under appeal to see if we can settle as many of them as humanly possible so that they don't even have to go before the tribunal at all. I met with my officials this week and have confirmed that they are on track to achieving our goal. Thank you.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. That's nonsense, Mr. Speaker, because the waiting times are only getting worse. Most of the people have been turned down for an expedited hearing. That's the reality. And rather than improving the appeal process, the Prime Minister has put in place a system based on favoritism and patronage. 1/3 of the appointments to the tribunal are old friends of the Conservative Party. 1/3. Why is the Prime Minister prioritizing Conservative buddies at the expense of seniors and families in need? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Member is wrong. Members of the tribunal have the necessary experience to do the work. We agree that the backlogs and the waiting lines are too long. And that is why we have told officials to review all cases in order to avoid these people having to go before the boards have to wait. We want to eliminate the waiting line before the summertime, and officials have told me this week that we will manage that. The Honourable Member for Beauséjour. Mr. Speaker, in order to have a strong economy, we need stability and economic certainty, whereas the GDP is showing a national slowdown in our economy, and the quality of jobs is going down, whereas $28 billion in capital investments have left the country in December alone. Why are the Conservatives continuing to sow uncertainty and instability? Why do they refuse to table a budget immediately, today, in order to bring back this economic certainty that we so badly need? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Canada has the best job creation record in the G7 with almost 1.2 million net new jobs created since the depths of the global recession. The vast majority of these jobs are full-time, private sector in high-wage industries. Our government has a low-tax plan for jobs and growth for all sectors of the Canadian economy that is working and will return Canada to a balanced budget this year. We are proud of our plan that is lowering taxes and providing benefits directly to families for them to reinvest in the Canadian economy.
The honourable member for Wascana.
Mr. Speaker, with yet another forecast of recessions in Alberta and Newfoundland and Labrador, with the latest GDP figures showing the national economy is shrinking too, with nearly $28 billion in investor capital fleeing the country in December, with anemic job creation, poor job quality, and weak labour market participation, this government keeps punting its overdue budget deeper and deeper into the next fiscal year, into May or even later. Canada needs an urgent budget that invests in real growth right now, so why not?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, because of the instability in the oil market, we will not bring forward the budget before April. I can assure the member opposite that our government will continue our low-tax plan for jobs and growth for all sectors of the Canadian economy that is working and will return Canada to a balanced budget this year. We are proud of our plan that's working, and we're going to stick to that plan, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable member for Wascana.
But there are no jobs and no growth. Canada needs to be far more aggressive on public infrastructure. Who says so? The G20 and the IMF and the Bank of Canada and the Parliamentary Budget Officer, all the premiers, every municipality, every think tank from C.D. Howe to Canada West, the Chamber of Commerce, the Council of Chief Executives, the Canadian Labour Congress, and many, many more. The only one saying the feds are doing enough is this beleaguered government, and they can't even get their act together to table a budget. If they won't lead, will you please get out of the way?
Some members might be confused that the member for Wascana was talking to the chair and not the person he was directing the question to. I plan on staying here for at least the next 35 minutes. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, our government is focused on what matters to Canadians, jobs and economic growth. Around 1.2 million net new jobs have been created since the depths of the recession. It's rich that the Liberals would be criticizing our record on job creation because they voted against every job creation measure that we've introduced, including freezing EI rates, tax cuts for manufacturers, $75 billion in stable and predictable job-creating infrastructure, and more. Mr. Speaker, the Liberal leader doesn't even have a plan, and he thinks budgets balance themselves.
The Honourable member for Squamish, Wanda Fuca.
Well, Mr. Speaker, so much for not railroading C-51 through this House. The Conservatives couldn't even wait 24 hours to limit debate on this bad bill. It's a pretty strong contrast with the U.S. President, who's out talking about what works to counter terrorism. Here's what President Obama said. We need to do what extremists and terrorists hope we will not do, and that is stay true to the values that define us as a free and diverse society. Mr. Speaker, we don't need divisive rhetoric and limited debate. Why is this always the Conservatives' approach, even on such an important topic as threats to our national security?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, one of the most important Canadian values is that of security and feeling safe in your community, in your home, and in your place of work. And, Mr. Speaker, this is a bill that is targeted measures with oversight aimed specifically at giving our security forces the important tools they need, the important support that they need, often in a very dangerous and evolving world that involves terrorism. And so, Mr. Speaker, this bill will receive scrutiny by this House, by this committee, and Canadians, 4 out of 5 who support this bill, will have a safer and more secure country.
Here, well done.
The Honourable member for
Speaker, the government's so confident of this bill, why are they limiting the debate? The minister would do better to take a hint from the U.S. President, who's appointed a full-time coordinator at Homeland Security dedicated to stopping violent extremism before it takes root. What a contrast. Here in Canada, we've got RCMP and CSIS budget cuts and community engagement plans left to languish on the drawing board for years. Why are the Conservatives ignoring anti-terrorism measures that work and pushing a dangerous bill that won't?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, Speaker, I don't think the majority of Canadians are going to take the word of the NDP that these measures won't work. In fact, some of these important and practical measures, including the ability, Mr. Speaker, for our security forces, our authorities, to take these practical actions to prevent radicalization. And by that I mean the ability to take material down, to take material off the websites, off the internets that can be very instrumental in radicalization. And so, Mr. Speaker, those steps, along with many others included in this array of security measures, including the outreach necessary to see that Canadians understand that this government, this parliament, is working in their best interests.
The honourable member for Alfred Pellant. The scope of Bill C-51 is far too broad and provides new powers to CSIS. The Minister of Public Safety was still not able to give a single example of the kind of activities that CSIS could carry out in order to disrupt threats. The experts think that this could include activities like the dissemination of false information about a group or an individual. Can the Minister confirm if that is really the case? Honourable Minister of Justice.
What I can confirm, what the Minister of Public Safety has spoken of, the Prime Minister and others, and throughout this process there will be ample opportunity to go into the details. What I can confirm is that our security forces will have better ability to protect Canadians in targeted and practical ways, Mr. Speaker, with oversight, with the ability to have judges examining the type of activities that take place, with the oversight of the civilian CERC, Mr. Speaker, that is also there to ensure that they are complying with the law. And, Mr. Speaker, throughout this process, we will continue to reach out and speak to Canadians and seek their input.
Here.
The honourable member for Alfred Pellant. It's more and more difficult for Canadians to believe that the government is really going to properly monitor security agencies. When we see the RCMP report talking about activists like people who claim that climate change would be the main environmental threat and claim that it might apparently be directly related to human activity, it's hard to take this seriously. Does the minister really think it's the RCMP's job to use their judgment to analyze the causes of climate change?
The
Minister of Justice.
The honourable member is missing the important element of judicial oversight, judicial input into the decisions when they're seeking warrants, when they're seeking certain detentions, Mr. Speaker. And as I've already explained to the leader of her party, there are exemptions with respect to the activity of Canada's security forces which do not include lawful advocacy, protest, dissent, or artistic expression. Those type of activities will not be the target of RCMP or CSIS activities.
The honourable member for Saint-Lambert. There are still 14,000 files in the backlog on the desks of the Social Security Tribunal. They include those of Canadians who are seriously ill or in financial difficulty, desperately waiting for their applications to be processed. There is an expedited process that exists, but most of the time the Conservatives refuse to process their applications. In the end, is the minister counting on the discouragement or the death of the complainants in order to reduce the waiting list? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, we do have a plan that my predecessor has already implemented, which is intended to encourage the officials to review each case under appeal and to try and solve them before they even get to the tribunal. That will allow us to reduce and eliminate the waiting list in the long term before the end of the summer. And we will continue to work with our officials in order to accomplish that task.
More delays, Mr. Speaker. While more than 14,000 Canadians are currently waiting for a Social Security Tribunal hearing, wait times for some cases are more than 7 years. We can only assume Conservatives are hoping that people will give up before they ever get benefits. The Tribunal has refused the vast majority of requests for an expedited hearing. This is blatant incompetence, and Canadians are paying the price. Why did the Conservatives set up such a bad process for this tribunal?
The Honourable Minister of Employment.
Mr. Speaker, the member does not accurately describe the plan that we're implementing to eliminate the backlog. The plan is for experts within the department to take a second look at the cases that are currently under appeal to ascertain if there's new information that might help us settle those cases. And when they are settled, then they will not need to go before the tribunal, which will save time, and our goal is to eliminate that backlog by the summer. I spoke to my officials this week on this very subject, and they confirm that we are on track to achieve this goal. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for London Fanshawe.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we've seen how the Conservatives deal with backlogs, wiping them out while ignoring the rights of the people affected by that backlog. The Conservatives have done everything they can to delay, deny, and discourage Canadians who are waiting to get benefits. How do we know this new process won't be another Conservative whitewash so they can deny people's benefits even faster? What assurances can the Minister give Canadians that they will get due process and a fair decision at these tribunals?
The Honourable Minister of Employment.
Hope, Mr. Speaker, is that many of them don't have to get to the tribunal at all because they can be settled before they even go there. But for those that with whom we fail to reach a settlement, they will continue to have the right to go through the general and, if it should be necessary, the appeal division of this quasi-judicial body that is the tribunal. And so all of the rights that they currently have will be upheld. The only difference is that we are working with experts in the department to settle these cases as quickly as possible, where possible.
Good work.
The Honourable Member for Skeena-Wilkie Valley.
Conservatives create a massive backlog and then want credit for pretending to even help clean up the mess that's their own creation. Right. Mr. Speaker, it's also like this when it comes to the economy. An economy hemorrhaging jobs in the energy sector, the service sector, and the retail sector. Weeks since this finance minister even answered a single question in the House of Commons. And the Conservatives answer to a struggling economy, deny there's a problem, delay any action by not bringing in a budget, and desperately hope that the problem simply goes away on its own. Trying to change the channel on this issue won't help the almost 1.3 million Canadians who are out of a job. So when are we going to finally see this finance minister get off the bench and bring in a plan to help Canadians get back to work?
The Honourable Minister of Employment.
Mr. Speaker, we have a plan. It's called the Low Tax Plan for Jobs and Growth, and the facts are in. It is working. We have 1.2 million net new jobs. Now, here the Liberals claim they are part-time jobs. In fact, 80% of them are full-time. 80% of them are in the private sector. 60% of them are in high-wage industries. The reality is, on this side, we know that when you cut taxes and you give job creators a chance to move ahead, they hire more people and create more jobs. The NDP and the Liberals would raise taxes, destabilize our economy, and kill jobs. We won't let them.
The Honourable Member for Rivière-du-Nord. Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives tell us they don't have enough money for the middle class. If everyone did their part, they would have money, because money is there. Just before Christmas, the Royal Bank of Canada was caught by the Americans for having orchestrated a massive transfer of funds to tax havens. The American government recovered $35 million. Will the minister at least attempt to recover the amounts owed to us? And how can she explain that the white-collar criminal who perfected this strategy is still employed by the RBC?
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker.
Government has a strong record of combating tax evasion and getting tough on tax cheats, including obtaining information on Canadians with offshore assets from our international partners. Since forming government, we have introduced over 85 measures to improve the integrity of the tax system. Shamefully, the NDP and Liberals voted against every single one of those measures. And Mr. Speaker, this government stands up for taxpayers. We have zero tolerance for tax evasion. We are actively working on all these files.
The Honourable Member for Vancouver-Quadra.
Speaker, today the respected Conference of Defence Associations released a damning report on this government's mismanagement and budget cuts to national defence. The report states, and I quote, "The reality is that we are entering a period of continued decline, diminished armed forces capabilities and capacity, less training and lower output, reduced influence on the world stage, and weakened contribution to our own security, domestic and international." So why are the Conservatives so undermining the Canadian Armed Forces? And why are they still pretending that they support them?
The Honourable Parliament Secretary of the Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, it's very rich coming from the Liberals to come and try to preach that we haven't spent enough on our armed forces when they saw over the decade of darkness and gutted our armed forces. They couldn't make one single purchase. All they ever did was cancel helicopter contracts. While we're replacing all of our equipment, we've upgraded. We've got new C-17s. We got new Chinook helicopters. We have new upgraded frigates. We got the National Shipbuilding Program. We're giving the tools, the equipment, and the resources to our members of the Canadian Armed Forces to do the job that they need.
Member for Westville, Ville-Marie.
Mr. Speaker, for 3 years now, the former Minister of Foreign Affairs secretly delayed the presentation of Treasury Board's investment plans for infrastructure. This is a troubling fact because the required improvements for the safety of official residences in Islamabad, Kabul, and Port-au-Prince were therefore not carried out, endangering our Canadian diplomatic staff. The idea seems to have been to carry unspent funds over in order to record a surplus in this election year. Why is the government putting our Canadian diplomats at risk? The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Further from the truth. The safety and security of our diplomats abroad is my foremost priority as Foreign Minister. To suggest that we're compromising security at our missions in order to cut costs is quite frankly false and offensive. Every single cent allocated by Cabinet and Parliament is available to meet the security needs of our diplomats, and we will continue to spend whatever is necessary to keep them safe.
The Honourable Member for Malpeque.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Justice said earlier, CERC provides oversight in this new bill. He knows that is not accurate. The Security Intelligence Review Committee themselves said they do not provide oversight, they review. Yet this very Minister of Justice in 2004 signed on to an all-party report calling for parliamentary oversight, like our democratic partners, the UK, the United States, Australia, New Zealand. Whatever happened to this minister's interest in balancing security and civil liberties with strong parliamentary oversight? Why is he not with us on that today?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, through the hyperventilation and the rhetoric of the member, Mr. Speaker, I heard a question that pertained to the oversight and the work of CERC. Yes, indeed, there was recommendations that came from a parliament over 10 years ago, and if memory serves me right, there was a period of time, albeit a difficult time for the country, when the member himself was the Solicitor General of Canada. Now, if I'm correct in saying so, Mr. Speaker, he and his government rejected that recommendation for further parliamentary oversight. So hypocrisy knows no bounds with the member opposite.
The Honourable Member for Churchill.
Mr. Speaker, the safety of First Nations is at stake. First Nations like Makwa Sagahigan were left with no fire protection services, which cost the lives of 2 children. First Nations and Canadians across this country have been moved by this tragedy, and they want action from the federal government. But instead of stepping up, the minister chooses to blame everyone else. This cannot happen again. So what will the minister do to be able to ensure that this kind of tragedy not only does not happen, but that First Nations have the kind of services and equipment that they need and deserve in their communities?
Mr. Speaker, these deaths are a tragedy, and our thoughts and prayers remain with the family of the victims. Now, as we speak, Mr. Speaker, the RCMP is investigating the events that led to this tragedy, and I want to assure the House and Canadians that this particular band has received consistent funding for fire protection services over the years. As a matter of fact, the Government of Canada provides First Nations across the country with funds every year for fire protection, and the fact of the matter is that each band council is responsible for fire management protection on reserve.
Member for Abitibi.
this government to protect, to ensure the safety of all its citizens, no matter where they live. Alors que ceux qui vivent sur réserve au Canada ont 10 fois...
Those living on reserves have a 10 times greater chance of dying in a fire. And what does the minister do? Dodge the question, Mr. Speaker. Does he find it acceptable that while adults are fighting over a bill, children are dying in fires here in Canada in 2015? The Honourable Minister. I agree with the member that it's not acceptable, especially when the fact is that the First Nations in question every year receive funds to deal with fire safety. The RCMP is investigating what happened in this particular case, and we will draw the appropriate conclusions. But one thing's for sure, Mr. Speaker, that First Nation, like others in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, and elsewhere in the country for that matter, receive sufficient funds every year to deal with fire safety. Now, a member for Welland.
An 81-year-old man in Windsor received 8 stitches around his eye because he fell when he went to pick up his mail at the community mailbox. The reason, there was 3 feet of ice and snow around that community mailbox. In spite of numerous requests to Canada Post to come and clear it, which were ignored, that snow was there and that gentleman fell and injured himself. Now, does the minister understand the plan to get rid of community mail, to give us community mailboxes to get rid of door-to-door affects seniors, or does she just agree with the CEO of Canada Post who says, well, they should just get some exercise?
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member on the issue of what happened to this poor gentleman in Windsor is absolutely correct. Canada Post has a responsibility that is very serious, and that's to ensure that community mailboxes have paths clear to them. They were notified of this several times, according to the newspaper article. Our office has been in contact as well, too. Converting to community mailboxes has an inherent responsibility to do so safely, and we expect nothing less from Canada Post.
The honourable member for Honoré-Mercier. Mr. Speaker, the end of home delivery is a nightmare for Canadians, especially the disabled. For example, a visually impaired resident of Honoré-Mercier explained to me that he has to cross a number of intersections to get to his community mailbox. Why did the Conservatives make such a serious decision without consulting the municipalities and community groups like the Greater Montreal Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired?
Post's 5-point plan, one of them is converting to community mailboxes. They did have consultation across the country. They are now implementing it, and they're working with Canadian municipalities. And indeed, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities had a resolution before themselves in 2014 in Niagara Falls, where it was proposed that they have the position that Canada Post maintain the current system of residential door-to-door delivery in Canada. Mr. Speaker, the resolution was defeated, 311 votes to 185 votes. Municipalities agree with us. This is the way to go.
The honourable member for Oakville.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We often hear the opposition complaining about the infrastructure investments from our government. It's quite puzzling when you know that the Conservative government has made record investments and will continue to do so for the next decade with $75 billion. Can the infrastructure minister inform the House and especially the opposition about Canada's performance in infrastructure investment since 2006? Let's hear it.
The Honourable Minister of Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, since we took office in 2006, Canada has consistently ranked atop the G7 countries in total investment in infrastructure as percentage of GDP. It's quite a contrast with the Liberal years when we were sitting at the bottom of the group. When the Building Canada, the new Building Canada, the largest and longest infrastructure plan in the history of this country, we are clearly the champion of infrastructure under leadership of our
Bravo. The honourable member for Pierrefonds-Dollard. Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives are attempting to save money at the expense of our foreign service officers. If we're sending diplomatic staff to high-risk areas, the very least we can do is protect them properly.
Can we finally have a minister with long-term vision who will put a stop to his predecessor's administrative scheming and invest in proper protection for our diplomats?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
The NDP, the honourable member, have it completely wrong. The safety and security of our diplomats abroad is my foremost priority as Foreign Affairs Minister, and this has been consistent throughout our term in office. And to suggest that we're compromising security at our missions to cut costs is, quite frankly, false and offensive. We will ensure that any non-security related upgrades provide value for taxpayers' dollars, Mr. Speaker, but we will protect those individuals who are serving Canada abroad.
The honourable member for Ottawa Centre.
Mr. Speaker, here's what's offensive. In the last 3 years, Foreign Affairs has cut $148 million for security upgrades at embassies. These security upgrades, they're not a luxury. The department itself called them urgent. Let's never forget, we lost a diplomat, Glenn Berry, in Afghanistan, and we saw the devastation in Benghazi when U.S. Diplomats were attacked by extremists. So the question is, why is this government putting the lives of our brave men and women on the line? These are the facts of his own department, $148 million that was cut. He can't deny those facts.
It's completely wrong, and we have been consistent that the security of our men and women, Mr. Speaker, involved with our diplomatic offices around the world are our #1 priority, and to suggest anything else has been completely false, Mr. Speaker. We will go forward and we will ensure, as we have in the past, to continue their safety and security.
The honourable member for Ottawa Centre.
Mr. Speaker, today many Canadians were asking themselves this question: who is the actual Minister of Foreign Affairs? It wasn't the actual Minister of Foreign Affairs, after all, who greeted the Queen at Canada House. It was the former member from Ottawa, West Nepean. Would the actual Foreign Affairs Minister please stand up and explain why John Baird was playing minister in London?
The honourable member may have inadvertently used the proper name of the member for Ottawa West Nepean. The honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs is rising next. What's that? He is, yes. The honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
The renovations to Canada House, this is a testament to the enduring relationship between the United Kingdom and Canada. We can all be very, very proud for that. And I'll tell you something else I'm proud about, Mr. Speaker. I'm very proud that the member for Ottawa West Nepean, a Privy Councillor, and an outstanding Foreign Affairs Minister was there to open this house on behalf of Canada.
The honourable member for Brossard-la-Prairie. Mr. Speaker, almost 2 years after the Lac-Mégantic tragedy, a neighbourhood watch has just been set up. And why? Because residents aren't satisfied with existing precautions to protect them, but they're being kept in the dark. Transport Canada isn't even answering their calls. Can the minister at least rebuild bridges with the people of Lac-Mégantic?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in general, the health and safety of Canadians is our top priority. There are rules in place for railways to operate within. If these rules are not being followed, then it is appropriate for Transport Canada to ensure that there's enforcement. And if the community or the public are understanding of a problem in their area, they should report it to Transport Canada. If what the member says is correct, that Transport Canada is not responding, I will ensure they do.
The honourable member for Bourassa. Mr. Speaker, a damning study by the CFIB forced Canada Revenue Agency to evaluate its own services. An internal survey shows 1 in 4 callers were given bad and sometimes illegal advice. And Canadians who follow that advice are then penalized. The agency itself acknowledged that its communications were disorganized, confusing, and unprofessional. What's the government doing to fix this, and why hasn't the minister appointed a new taxpayers' ombudsman 8 months after the last one vacated his position?
Revenue.
Mr. Speaker, we are concerned about the results of this survey, which was commissioned by CRA to improve its services. We expect CRA to take immediate steps to resolve this issue and to improve its service to clients. We encourage anyone who feels they may have received bad advice from CRA to lodge an official complaint.
Was commissioned by CRA to improve services.
The honourable member for Saint-Laurent-Cartierville. Well, then hire the Ombudsman as quickly as possible, please. Appoint a new one. Mr. Speaker, the construction of pipelines is problematic enough in Canada without allowing language issues to get in the way, but that's precisely what's happening in Quebec in connection with the Energy East hearings before the National Energy Board. Will the government make sure that the language issues are resolved, or is it going to be as inactive as it usually is when it comes to official languages? The Honourable Minister. The NEB has fulfilled its obligations under the Official Languages Act. All documents produced by the NEB are published in both official languages. Issues with documents submitted by the proponent should be directed to the proponent. Thank you.
Well, after years of drastic cuts to Parks Canada, now we need volunteers to keep the parks open. This government funds hand-picked trails and private clubs. Canada's national parks are forced to scale back or shut their gates for the winter. But a study by Canadian Parks Council shows that an $800 million investment in parks can create a $5 billion economic activity in our local communities. Those are local jobs, Mr. Speaker. So why is this government abandoning Canada's parks and squandering both the environmental and economic benefits?
Great question. The Honourable Minister of the Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there have been no reductions in the Parks Canada budget. In fact, the overall budget has increased by 26%. This is in addition to the $391 million we announced in the Economic Action Plan 2014 to maintain and upgrade Parks Canada infrastructure, and these investments will ensure Canadians and visitors are safe and continue to enjoy our country's natural heritage. Our government launch of the National Conservation Plan last year includes new investments also to secure ecologically sensitive lands, conserve marine and coastal areas, and to connect Canadians to nature.
The Honourable Member for Hull-Elmer. Last week, 15,000 people in the Pontiac were cut off from the world. No phone, no internet, no 911 or emergency services. And it happened in an area with patchy cell phone coverage. This was the 5th incident of the kind in 6 years, and yet the CRTC refuses to force Bell to upgrade its network. How much longer is this government going to condone this second-class citizen treatment for residents of the Pontiac?
Mr. Speaker, I can tell you that protecting consumers in cases like this is a priority for this government. We have, in fact, increased competition in the wireless market, making it a priority for Canadians and for our government. Canadians know that competition is good for everyone. It not only lowers prices, but brings better services for both Canadians and for businesses. We'll keep doing exactly that.
Well done. The Honourable Member for Provencher.
Mr. Speaker, my constituents strongly believe in keeping our communities safe by ensuring that our borders are safe and effective. Many dangerous foreign criminals find their way into Canada and terrorize our communities. Could the Parliamentary Secretary for the Minister of Public Safety please advise this House on what our government is doing to get tough on foreign criminals?
The Honourable Department Secretary of the Minister of Public Safety.
I would like to thank my honourable colleague for that question and for his work on the Public Safety Committee. Mr. Speaker, our Conservative government is committed to sending dangerous criminals back to where they came from. That is why we created the Wanted by the CBSA program, to enlist the help of Canadians to remove these dangerous individuals. I would like today to commend the CBSA on the arrest of the 60th criminal from the Wanted by CBSA list. This list has proven once again to be a highly effective tool that leads to the apprehension of individuals who threaten the safety and security of Canadians.
The honourable member for Sydney Victoria.
Mr. Speaker, since 2006, Conservatives have spent more than $2.3 million, taxpayers' dollars, hiring photographers to take pictures of ministers making announcements. Ministers of Veteran Affairs are some of the highest spenders at nearly $120,000. Since 2006, Veteran Affairs have increased their wasteful spending by an obscene 7,000%. The money spent by Conservatives on vanity photographers could have kept the Veteran Affairs office in Cape Breton open. Why are photos of themselves more important than the Cape Breton veterans?
The Honourable President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, of course, the Government of Canada, any Government of Canada has an obligation to communicate with the public, and we take our responsibilities to taxpayers very seriously in this regard. Of course, when that member's party was in government, when they spent money on advertising, they actually didn't spend it on advertising. Right. It went into the pockets of their confreres in their party. We don't do that, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for New Westminster Coquitlam.
First, the Conservatives closed the Kitsilano Coast Guard Station. Now they want to close the Marine Communication Traffic Service Centres in Vancouver, Comox, and Ucluelet. Responses to environmental emergencies, oil spills, and accidents for the entire coast of British Columbia are going to be centralized. Just recently, the Ucluelet Centre helped with the rescue of 4 sailors. The centre was listening on local VHF and heard the Mayday signal. We know the importance of these centres, so why are the Conservatives closing them?
The Honourable Private Secretary, the Minister of Fisheries.
And I thank my colleague for this question. The Coast Guard is modernizing a number of marine communications and traffic centres, and when this exercise is completed, there will be state-of-the-art technology in place from coast to coast to coast, which will improve the safety of mariners. Our government is making important investments to provide our Coast Guard with the tools necessary to provide mariners in Canadian waters with world-class service, and we're proud to invest in Canadian Coast Guard and the safety of mariners.
The honourable member for West Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country.
Mr. Speaker, last night marked the arrival of Lunar New Year across Canada, Gongxi Fatsai. This has become an amazing Canadian tradition that brings together Canadians of all backgrounds in celebration. In fact, the Asian New Year celebration that occurred this Saturday in West Vancouver has become an annual highlight in our whole community. I thank over 100 volunteers of Chinese, Korean, and Filipino background who've combined to make this happen. Could the bagpipe-playing Parliamentary Secretary for Multiculturalism please tell us how the Lunar New Year is being marked across Canada by our government and others?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, the Minister of Multiculturalism.
Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleague from West Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country for the question. Today, Lunar New Year is celebrated across the country by many Canadians, including the Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean, Tibetans, and other communities from East Asia. Just last night, our Prime Minister joined thousands in Richmond, BC to mark the arrival of the Lunar New Year. The Minister for Multiculturalism and the Minister of State for Multiculturalism also joined large community celebrations in Toronto. Over the next few weeks, my parliamentary colleagues and I will take part in celebrations across the country, including here on Parliament Hill. As we mark the year of the ram, or goat, I would like to wish all Canadians peace, prosperity, and good health for the year ahead.
The honourable member for Avalon.
Mr. Speaker, Marine Atlantic is without a doubt the most important single lifeline to the island of Newfoundland. However, in recent years, it's come under much scrutiny as travellers are finding it more and more difficult to travel to and from the island using the ferry system. Delays, cancellation, and high cost of travel has begun to deter people from using the service. And the cost of transporting goods has risen substantially in the past number of years. Mr. Speaker, the people of Newfoundland and Labrador deserve a reliable ferry service as per our terms of union. Will the government commit to an independent audit of Marine Atlantic to ensure that the ferry service is operating at its full potential and at the maximum operational efficiency?
Honourable Minister of Transport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we take the responsibility that we have with Marine Atlantic very seriously. It's an independent Crown corporation that is set up to deliver this service to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. That being said, Mr. Speaker, our government has played a strong role in supporting Marine Atlantic in the past number of years. We have seen incredible investment with respect to both ferries and terminals. In my hometown of Sydney, Nova Scotia, for example, in North Sydney, there is a brand new terminal being built there. It's this government that is doing that. It's this government that is ensuring that Marine Atlantic has the ability to deliver on their mandate.
The honourable member for HoC. Mr. Speaker, some Canadian families are grieving the loss of their children who decided to go abroad to fight with groups like Daesh. These families can't have closure because the provincial authorities won't issue a death certificate. But in several cases, CSIS and the RCMP can confirm their deaths. Can the Public Safety Minister instruct officials to provide these families with an official letter confirming their child's death in order to give them some closure? The Honourable Minister of State.
It's always concerned when Canadians are in trouble beyond our borders, and our consular services operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, through a network of more than 260 offices in over 150 countries. We're committed to providing the best possible consular assistance in every region of the world.
That concludes question period for today. Oh, there's a point of order. The Honourable Member for Malpeque.
Speaker, I rise to ask for unanimous consent to table a document. It's actually a report of the Public Safety Committee in which it states the bill C-81, which was supported by all parties, died on the order paper just a few days later when the third...
Seem to be early indications of a lack of consent when the member started, so going to interpret that he does not have the consent of the House this time. Maybe he could try another method of getting it in front of members. Now, I do have some good news. It is Thursday, so we now get to have the Thursday question from the Honourable Member for Burnaby-New.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Yes, I do have some good news and some bad news. The good news is that there are only 12 sitting weeks before the end of this Parliament and the end of the government, Mr. Speaker. That's great news for all Canadians. The bad news, however, is that the government continues to ravage this country. We've seen yet another time allocation motion